Merry Christmas, baby. Reindeer's coming out to play. Santa Claus is packing the presents, making sure you've been behaving okay.
Hello, everyone. Christina Werner here. Welcome to day 15 of the Holiday Card Series. Today, I'm going to be using this Cosmic Sky cardstock from Spellbinders, plus the embossing diffusers from Sizzix and Tim Holtz. And I'm going to be doing some embossing folder stuff. Now, these diffusers, if you don't know what they are, they've been around for a long, long time, but I haven't seen anyone using them recently. So I thought, you know what, why not? This oval diffuser is the perfect size to go with my greeting today. I'm making a Hanukkah card, and I thought I would use this diffuser and run it through my die cutting machine so that the center area is left flat while the outer area has the embossing on it. So I'm using the Kaleidoscope embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp. And after a bunch of experimenting and running it through over and over again using my Anna Griffin Empress machine, this is the sandwich that worked for me. I've got the cardstock, which I've sprayed with a little bit of water on both sides inside the embossing folder. I've got the diffuser on top positioned just right. And then I have the metal shim from the mini Empress and the metal shim from the regular Empress. And that was just enough pressure when I put it through my regular Empress, the big one, that it had a great impression. So as I open this up, you'll see that the area where the diffuser was there is embossed, and the center area, which was cut out, is not. That's what's really fun about these diffusers. So in that pack of diffusers, there's a circle and also a smaller, skinnier oval as well. I used my heat tool just to dry off that center area. And now I'm using the Happy Hanukkah stamp set from let's see, I think it's the Crafters Workshop. I think that's what it's called. And I'm stamping the Happy Hanukkah right in the center of that oval that is left plain after I use that diffuser and embossing folder. I'm prepping the area with an anti-static powder tool so that I can do some heat embossing and have a really good result. And I'm using my Versamark ink pad for all of the stamping. I'm inking up my stamp and then folding the door of the MISTI over and stamping down onto my cardstock. So gently walking my fingertips over that. I didn't want it to kind of thicken up the lines of the words. I'm now using sterling embossing powder from Burgess Monroe. It's a lovely metallic silver. And I'm going to use my heat tool to melt the powder. So you just have to hold it there long enough until you see the powder melt and it becomes nice and bright and shiny, and then you can move on. So in order to emphasize the design of the embossing, I thought it would be really cool to bring in a little bit of white pigment ink. So I'm using an ink from Simon Says Stamp as well as a dome foam blending tool. And I only want a tiny bit of ink on it, so I did rub off quite a bit of ink off that foam before coming to my project. And I'm very gently just brushing it over the embossed area. I don't want to get any of this white ink into that center area and have it overlap my greeting. I just want to really emphasize the texture that's around the center of my card. So I'm very gently brushing or kind of skimming the top of this embossed area. If you want to do something a little bit more bold, you could even use a paste like a Simon Hurley Lunar paste or any of the glazes from Picket Fence. I think that would look great too. I wanted to have a silver edge, so I brought in my Versamark ink pad and rubbed it along the edge of my cardstock. And then I'm going to dip each edge down into my container of embossing powder. I don't mind having a nice thick border of silver, so I really did dunk this in quite a bit in some areas, but I really do love the look. Having that small area in the center with the words just wasn't enough silver for me. I wanted a little bit more shine, so adding this border around the outer edge is perfect. Now, if you want to use something like the embossing dabber from Tim Holtz and Ranger, that's a great way to apply that ink to the edges as well. I've used that recently, but I just had my Versamark ink pad out, so that's what I used. Used my heat tool to melt all of that silver embossing powder on the edge of my cardstock. And then I have my card basically finished. I was going to leave it at this, but then I kind of wanted to have a secondary greeting right below that Happy Hanukkah. I thought it would look really nice to have a long strip of text right below. Now, the original stamp set has some additional greetings on it, but none that looked exactly like I wanted. So I decided to take this 2-line greeting and perform some stamp surgery. I know you can all hear the stamp screaming right now, but believe me, it's just fine. It's just a little bit of cosmetic surgery. It can go back together. When I started to put these 2 stamps together on one line, I noticed that there was just a little bit of that stamp material that was preventing me from mounting both of those together and stamping them at the same time without leaving a large gap in between. So I did cut off a little bit of that excess material just on the end of the words so that I could mount them, practically touching as I stamp these words. I used this transparency grid sheet to help me get it straight, although it really didn't get straight on the grid, but it did help me get them on there and then be able to move them around. So I'm going to stamp the greeting onto some white cardstock. This is Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And the ink that I eventually chose was soft navy ink from Simus Stamp. I tried a few different colors. I tried black. I tried some other navies in my stash, but soft navy is the one that I thought looked best. I used a T-square ruler and a craft knife to cut out that greeting, and then used my scissors to trim off the ends. Now, when it comes to adhering everything all together, I decided to put some foam tape on the back of my embossed panel. Now, this could be adhered directly to the card front if you'd like, but I find that, after you've embossed and dry embossed, embossing folder, the paper can be quite warped. And in order to keep it flat, having some foam tape on it just strengthens it and makes it much more flat and less warped. And also, once you go to put it onto your card base, it has a little bit more forgive when it comes to making sure things are flat. So I put that onto my card base. And then to adhere that strip of that second greeting, I'm using some foam strips from Waffle Flower. Now, I've been on the hunt for really good narrow foam strips ever since Darice continued theirs. And so I found these, and this might be my favorite find yet. You get 2 sheets of all of those very thin foam strips. The one I use today is the most narrow, but there is one that's a little bit wider. So it'll be great for all sorts of greetings and sentiment strips and things like that. So highly recommend. There's a link down below. You can pick up those foam strips. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure they're in stock right now. I'll link to Waffle Flower and Simus Stamp. So that's the card for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I have quite a few Jewish friends that I'll be sending holiday cards to this year. So Hanukkah starts, I believe, on the 18th of December this year. So I hope you'll send some Hanukkah cards out to your Jewish friends as well. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back on Friday with a live day 16 of the holiday card series. That will be happening at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Hope to see you there.